everyone, it's Teresa Green with Slow Paths Wellness, and it's Mindful Monday. Today I wanted to talk about a little bit of a mindfulness exercise that will help you to both evaluate your self-care and kind of learn a little bit about yourself. I don't know if any of you have been following, I guess it's a news story, but in my local area, I think it's a multi-state lottery, the Mega Millions has been over $1 billion, and I think someone or some group of people may have just won it. I don't know for sure. But like most people, when suddenly there's a gigantic amount of money that somebody could someday win, I've thought about what I would do if I suddenly had $1 billion. Of course, I guess after taxes and whatever, you wouldn't have that much, but since we don't play the lottery anyway, we have less than the 1 in 300 million chance that the estimated people would have had to have won that. But nonetheless, I did think, what would I do if I suddenly had that much money? And in the past, in years ago, when I was not as well as I am now, when I was had not done some of my personal work and practice with boundaries and with cultivating gratitude and enjoying life, the first thing I thought of is I would just suddenly pull myself out of basically society. That I would just enjoy not needing to be responsible to anyone, not having to show up to work to do things, not having to put myself out there in order to survive as I saw it. My first thought was if I suddenly had that much money, I would just live. I would eat what I wanted to, go where I wanted to, not worry, be afraid of spending money if I wanted to. And that was really all I could think of. Not because in my mind, not because I'm a selfish person or not because I didn't have dreams and ideas, but because I was exhausted. I was exhausted because I was always afraid of what people thought of me. I never believed in my heart that I had enough of anything, really. I didn't believe I was enough of anything. I didn't feel very confident about my life. And just in general, I felt like I had to be more than I was capable of being just to survive. And so if the chance had ever come to suddenly not have to exercise myself in life and risk disappointment, that was my dream, is I would just kick back, lay back, and be able to enjoy life and, just spend what I wanted to spend on what I wanted to spend it on and kind of retreat from other people. Now, hopefully, if something like that had happened, I wouldn't have let that be all that I did, but that was my mindset at the time. So I was kind of positively encouraged. I thought it was very encouraging when I kind of did a little daydreaming in that direction this time, and I had a whole different experience. If I suddenly became very, very wealthy and had the money to pretty much make anything I wanted to happen, I have all kinds of plans. I would do some things in my clinic to be able to upgrade what I was able to offer people and to be able to make it available to more people no matter what their income level was. I have some ideas about healthy living and being able to help people be better at preventing disease and at living more enjoyable lives. I would have ideas about reaching out to other groups of people, other practitioners, and being able to help them. I have an idea that would be really cool to work with Dan Butner, I believe his name is, someone that works in Blue Zones, who I've obviously never met, but who seems like a really cool person, and I'd like to, talk to him about developing neighborhoods based on healthy living, lifestyle things. So I had a lot of really cool ideas if I suddenly had a ton of money to spend. So what does that have to do with mindfulness? Well, one thing it has to do with mindfulness is exercises like that are actually something we use in coaching to find out what you really want. Because a lot of times when you're going through life and thinking, okay, I really want my life to mean something. I want to go in a direction that's fulfilling to me and brings me joy and makes me happy. A lot of times when you try to put that into practice or move in that direction, especially if you've had a lot of hardships in your life, sometimes it's hard to even dream. It's hard to think of that because you keep thinking of all the things that could go wrong. And so one of the tools that you often will hear in coaching or even in therapy is people saying, if you knew you couldn't lose, or if you suddenly had more than enough, or if no matter what you did, there would be no bad repercussions, what would you do? Taking away any kind of holdback so that you're able to just let your brain go and really, really dream. So dreaming about what you would do if suddenly money were no object to you is one of the ways of kind of finding out who you are. What would you actually really want to do if suddenly you were free to give in whatever way you had to give? So that's one mindfulness thing, is to be able to do that. A second one is to allow yourself to feel what that feels like, because that's a feeling of abundance, that's a feeling of overflowing, that's a feeling of giving. So if suddenly you knew that you would have plenty, there'd be no need to worry about how you're going to pay bills or how you're going to retire or how you're going to even pay for a vacation if you're not in really dire circumstances or anything. To just sit and feel that sense of fullness. It feels really good. And it allows you to, your body takes that feeling as if it's reality. It allows you to cultivate an attitude that steps away from anxiety. So if you spend just a couple minutes, not with the, oh, I wish this was happening, but to sit and let your body feel as if it's actually happening without that little, kind of, I think Brene Brown calls it foreboding joy, where you like cut into it by going, but that's not real, or, something like that. You're cultivating an attitude of feeling like you have plenty. And I've been working on that for a couple of years, so I can tell you from personal experience that the more you cultivate that attitude, the more you continue to have that attitude. The more that no matter if your physical circumstances don't change very much, you still start to feel better. And as you feel better, you are able to actually change your physical circumstances more because you come into life differently. So that's one, so one good aspect of a little bit of a daydream is to be able to open your eyes to who you are and what you would do if you had plenty. And then the second thing is to give yourself that sense of plenty and that sense of abundance, because that makes you more likely to pursue those goals regardless of what your bank account is at this moment or what your energy level or wellness level is at this moment. The more you're able to cultivate those feelings, the more your brain and nervous system will help you generate even more of them. It's not some kind of mystical belief system you have to have for that. It's science. There have been studies people have done that something as simple as saying, I feel like I have enough, I feel like I am cared for, I feel like I am loved. They've actually done blood studies where that changes people's cortisol levels, cortisol is a hormone that deals with stress, and when you have higher stress, you tend to have elevated levels of that. And just that, like a very quick kind of self-affirmation sort of exercise, within minutes, changed people's cortisol levels to a healthier level. So you don't have to have some mystical mindfulness, idea of, The Secret or something like that, to be able to embrace the idea that giving yourself permission to feel safe, to feel abundance, to feel joy is going to make positive differences in your life. Because if you're healthier, you have a lot more opportunities to do the things you want to with your goals. Now, the third thing that I would like to talk about in this Mindful Monday is, what if you do this daydreaming exercise and you're like I told you I was a few years ago, where you can't think of anything useful you want to do or anything inspirational or anything helpful. You just think, it would be really nice to just not have to live up to anybody's expectations. Or it'd be really nice to just be able to rest. Or it'd be really nice to not have to wake up at any specific time in the morning, to just be able to sleep. Or it'd be really nice to be able to have, like a massage every day or something like that. That's also an extremely useful piece of information, because what that tells you is that probably your self-care could use a little bit of a tweaking, that you are probably worn out. You've probably given more than you've allowed yourself to receive, or maybe your boundaries are such that you haven't been able to make the difference between helping other people and maybe enabling them in a way where you're doing more work for them than they're doing for themselves. So if that's how you're feeling, if you're thinking, if I suddenly had unlimited wealth, I would just sleep a lot, then maybe look at your life today and start making some room for that. Make some room for some health self-care. And I know that, sometimes work requirements or family requirements or what's going on right now means that you can't take hours and suddenly, go on a vacation or take a 2-hour lunch break or something like that. But most everybody can do a minute here or there. And that's a start. Sometimes the little bitty starts can grow into what you actually need. And you can, making that first step tells your nervous system and tells your mind, tells the part of your brain that's kind of down here in the lizard brain part, we're going to take care of ourselves now. That'll give you more of a sense of safety, which will change the way that your mind sees things, because when you feel safe, you're able to see more possibilities. They actually know now that the way the brain works is when you feel stressed and overwhelmed, then your brain actually tends to minimize the number of possibilities you see because it's trying to simplify things for you. So you tend to see things as all good or all bad. It's us versus them, or it's I can have this or I can't have it. There's no middle ground. When you feel safe, your brain, the part that connects your left and right, your creative part versus your more logical part, is strengthened when you feel safe. So you're more able to kind of bring both of those parts together and see more possibilities. So as you see more possibilities, as you give yourself a little bit of room and you see more possibilities, you're able to make better choices that'll move you towards a place where you do feel like you have more control and more benefits in your life. So take that minute I was telling you about. In the morning, just take a minute. You can go on to online and find some affirmations or some guided meditations. There's a website called justaminute.org, and I'll put a link to that in the description of the video here. And they have literally 1-minute meditations where they talk about allowing yourself to breathe, allowing yourself to let your cares drift away from you. If you don't want to do a guided meditation, you can do something yourself. On your phone, set a timer for 1 minute. For that 1 minute, just sit and feel. And I suggest that you cultivate a feeling of something when you first start out. Eventually you can just sit and just let your body feel whatever it feels, good or bad, because that's important too. But when you're first starting this journey, I would suggest just sit and go, okay, what does joy feel like? And so for me, I would say joy feels like a bubbly feeling. Right around here, I kind of feel this, need to smile. It feels like in my torso and my lower abdomen, there's kind of both a relaxing and kind of a lifting up, kind of a feeling of, yes, I want to go do something. There's also like a tingly kind of feeling in my neck and shoulders and low back. And so if I just sit, as I think I've said before, Dr. Rick Hansen calls this savoring. Feel what a really good feeling feels like to you for 1 minute. You can just sit and go, okay, joy, joy, joy. And so you can pick joy, peace, confidence, love, whatever the feeling is that you really would like to cultivate in you so that your nervous system will find more opportunities to feel that. Give yourself 1 minute. I would do 1 minute in the morning and 1 minute in the evening. And then when you see how good that feels, you can start sneaking more minutes in. You can do 2 minutes in the morning. Or maybe when you're on a break, you can do 1 minute while you're on a break at work if you have a very tight schedule and you're not able really to schedule your own time. Someone gives you a break, go to the bathroom for 30 seconds and feel joy, or feel confidence, or feel peace, or feel abundance, any of those things. And as you start that very small practice, you will find that you start having benefits the more that you layer that on day after day, day after day. You'll find that your body goes out of fight or flight into enjoyment much more quickly. As always, if you have some very major emotional trauma or major issue going on that you feel completely overwhelmed with, and when you try to do something like this, you feel like it backfires on you, then that's the time to talk to a therapist, talk to your doctor, talk to a support person that you trust. Because sometimes especially if you've had a really traumatic life, trying to do that, trying to give yourself permission to have joy can open up a lot of other floodgates, and you can bring up stuff that you've kind of squished down for a long time. And those things need to be, brought out in the open and talked about but you really need to talk if you feel like, especially if you feel like you do, but it's really a good idea to have someone who professionally is used to helping people through those feelings. So again, therapist, doctor, a counselor kind of person. Now, if you have something that's more of a, I just don't really quite know how to do that and I would like to be able to do it better, I do health coaching, I do wellness coaching. I also, in Chinese medicine, acupuncture, we do a lot of things dealing with emotional health because it's part of Chinese medicine. We talk about how one emotion can give rise to another and how you can balance two emotional states using a combination of mindfulness practice and acupuncture and herbal therapies. And then in functional medicine, a lot of times we can help with making sure that you have the nutrients you need to be able to make the right brain chemicals and nervous system chemicals to feel better. So for Mindful Monday today, do a little daydreaming. Imagine what it would be like if you had everything you needed. And if when you do that, you feel like you would just rest and sleep or be able to kind of withdraw from society because you're worn out, then take a moment to develop some health care, even if it's just 1 minute a couple times a day. I wish you a wonderful, wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you on next week's Mindful Monday. Goodbye.